Good day, Grade 2. Welcome to our discussion in Mathematics 2, the concept of multiplication. Multiplication is one of the four basic operations. Multiplication is a process of repeated addition. It can also be shown by skip counting, number line, and rows and columns. So, just like the addition and subtraction, we can write the number sentence or the multiplication sentence as this one or this one. So multiplication also have its part. So the number that we multiply are called factors. So what are the number that we multiply here? We have here 3 and 7. So 3 and 7, that is what we call the factors. And the factor being multiplied is called multiplicand. And the factor that multiplies is called multiplier. And the answer in multiplication is called product. Again, the parts of multiplication is the number that we multiply are called factors. In here we have 3 and 7. The factors in here is 3 and 7. And the factor being multiplied is called the multiplicand. And the factor that multiplies is called multiplier. And the answer in multiplication is what we call the product. So, how does the multiplication work? So, I have here an illustration. We have here stars and a box. So, for us to have or to write the multiplication number or the multiplication sentence, all we have to do is we look at the illustration. We have two ways on how we can write the multiplication sentence. First is you have to look at the stars or the object in each box. Again, first thing you have to do is look at the object in each box. So in each box or in the first box, all we have to do is count the stars. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are just going to write number 8 and then the multiplication sign. And after that, all we have to do is count the box. So we have here 1, 2, 3 boxes. So we are going to write number 3. So we have here now 8 times 3. So for us to complete this, all we have to do is count all the object in the box at the illustration. Or in here we have the stars, so all we have to do is count all the stars in each boxes. We are going to combine these stars. So we have here 8, 8, 8. So if we count this, we have 24. So this is the first way on how we will write the number sentence or the multiplication sentence in this illustration. The other one is you can start at the boxes. You can start to count the box. So we have here 3 boxes. So we are just going to write number 3. And then next is count the object or the star in the first box. So we have 8. So the answer in 3 times 8 is equal to 24. So that is how we write multiplication sentence using the illustration. So another one, what if we have here a number or multiplication sentence and all we have to do is draw the illustration. So in here we also have 3 way on how we can draw an illustration. First is, of course, you look at the number sentence or the multiplication sentence. In multiplication sentence, we have 3 times 5 is equals to 15. So in the first number or our multiplicand is 3. So, we can do an illustration using some boxes. So, we will draw 3 boxes. And then after that, our multiplier is number 5. So, all you have to do is draw 5 objects in each boxes. So, in here, we will draw a star. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or, we draw 5 stars in each boxes. So, that is the first way on how to draw an illustration using the multiplication sentence. Or another one is, we can draw 5 boxes. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. And then we will draw 3 objects in each boxes. So 1, 2, 3. So draw 3 stars in each boxes. So that is how the multiplication work, or the illustration using the number or multiplication sentence work. So now let's proceed in the multiplication in a process of repeated addition. So how does this work? So I have here an example. We have here 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So if we add those two, the answer that we will get is 14. So using this repeated addition, how are we going to write a multiplication sentence? So for us to write a multiplication sentence, first is look at the number being added. So what are the number being added in this repeated addition? We have here number 2. So we are just going to write number 2, and then don't forget the multiplication sign. And then the next is you have to count how many times did you add number 2. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we add 2 7 times. So we will just write number 7. And then the answer in 2 times 7 is 14. So another one we have here 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. So if we add these 4s, the answer is 24. So for us to have the multiplication sentence in this repeated addition, again, first is you have to identify the number being added, and the number that we add in here is number 4. So we are just going to write number 4. And then don't forget the multiplication sign. After that, we have to count how many times did we add number 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we add number 4 6 times. So we are just going to write number 6. And then the answer in 4 times 6, of course, is 24. So that is how the multiplication in repeated additions work. So multiplication can also be shown as in skip counting. So again, multiplication can also be shown in skip counting. So how does it works? We have here, I have here an example of skip counting. We have here 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. So this is skip counting by 6. So for us to know, or for us to have a multiplication sentence in this skip counting, first thing we have to do is identify what number, what skip counting do we have here. So we did skip counting by 6. So we are just going to write number 6. And then all we have to do is write the number or the multiplication sign. After the multiplication sign, we count how many times do we skip count. So we are just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we skip count 6 times. So we are just going to write again number 6 and then the equal sign. So the answer in 6 times 6 is, for us to know the answer, you have to look at the skip counting at the top. So the last number in our skip counting is the answer. So we have there 36. So again, 6 times 6 is equal to 36. So another one. We have here 9, 18, 27. So this is skip counting by 9. So we are just going to write number 9 and then the multiplication sign. And then we are just going to count how many times do we skip count. We have 1, 2, 3. So we're just going to write number 3 and then equal sign. After that, we have to look at the last number we skip count, which is 27. So that means 9 times 3 is equal to 27. So that is how multiplication is in skip counting work. So now, multiplication can also be shown as equal jumps on the number line. So equal jumps on the number line. So I have here a number line and number of course and the curved line which represents as the jump. So for us to have the multiplication sentence here, all we have to do is count the times we jump in this number line. So imagine you are here in 0 and you are going to jump just like that. You are going to jump just like that. Okay. So we are just going to count how many times we jump. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we jump 7 times. So we have here number 7 and then the multiplication sign. So after that, for us to complete the multiplication sentence, all you have to do is look at the first number you landed on. So what are the first number you landed on? So we have 2. So we are just going to write number 2. And then after that, the equal sign, and then you have to look at the last number you landed on, which is number 14. So the answer in 7 times 2 is 14. Okay, next is this example. We have here number line and the jumps. So again, for us to get a multiplication sentence here, we have to count how many times do we jump. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4. So we write 4 and then times. And then look at the number or the first number you landed on. We have here number 3. So we will just write 3 and then the equal sign. So 4 times 3, the answer is. So for us to have the answer, you have to look at the last number you landed on. And we have here number 12. So the answer in 4 times 3 is 12. So okay, so that is how the multiplication in number line works. So another one, we can also show multiplication using rows and columns. So what is row and column? So I have here an illustration. So row is the horizontal line while the column is the vertical line. So in here, first we have to identify the row. So the row is this one. So we are just going to count the rows. So in here we have how many objects in rows? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are just going to write number 5 and then the multiplication sign, and then next is the columns. So here is the columns. So we are just going to count the object in columns. So we have here 1, 2, 3. So we are just going to write number 3 and the equal sign. So 5 times 3, for us to get the answer in here, all we have to do is count all the object in the illustration. So 5 times 3, the answer is 15. Ana? So that is how the multiplication or the concept of multiplications work. So now let's move on in the properties of multiplication. So we have three properties of multiplication. The first one is identity property of multiplication. So identity property of multiplication work when we multiply a number by 1. The product is always the given number. Example, we have here 3 times 3 is equal to 3. So it means all the number that you multiply in 1, the product or the answer is always the number. So another one, we have 11 times 11. The answer is still 11. So 534 times 1 is equal to 534. So that is identity property of multiplication. Again, when we say identity property of multiplication, this is when we multiply number by 1. Another one, we have here the zero property of multiplication. So when we multiply a number by 0, the answer or the product is always 0. So how does it work? Here are some examples. So we have here 3 times 0. So if we multiply 3 into 0, the answer is 0. Another one is 11 times 0. The answer is 0. And the last one, we have here 534 times 0. The answer is again 0. So that is how zero property of multiplication works. So last property of multiplication is the commutative property of multiplication. So how does commutative property of multiplication work? So when we change the order of the factors, the product remains the same. So example, we have here 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So if we change the order of 4 and 3, so the answer is still the same. So if we write first the 4 and then next is 3, the answer is still the same, 12. So another one, we have 7 times 3. The answer is 21. And if we change it, we have here now 3 times 7. The answer is still 21. So that is how commutative property of multiplication works. Again, the properties of multiplication is identity property, zero property of multiplication, and commutative property of multiplication. When we say identity property of multiplication, this is when we multiply number by 1. The answer is still the number. And the zero property of multiplication, when we multiply number into 0, the answer or the product will be 0. And the incommutative property of multiplication, when we change the order of the number, the answer is still the same. So that is how the concept of multiplication and the properties of multiplication works. So I hope you learned something for today. Thank you for watching and listening. Till next time!